If you look at the top of the box, this game is Neketsu Kung Fu Road, or Hot-Blooded Kung Fu Road. But the cartridge, title screen, and interstitials all just call it Kung Fu Road, so I'm going to stick with that. Epoch was really pushing the technological edge of the Super Cassette Vision with this one. Kung Fu Road is very blatantly a copy of Irem's then hot arcade game, Spartan X. But Nintendo had the console rights to that game locked up, going as far as making the Famicom port themselves. The story in Kung Fu Road is that Chen's fiancée Anne has been kidnapped. And of course that means he must travel down the Kung Fu Road, beating up everyone until he gets her back. And that means walking to the right through 3 stages. In the game, the right button punches and the left button kicks. You can press up to jump, and pressing up again while you're in the air will make you do a double jump. You can do jump attacks, but the timing for those are a little bit tricky. You have to hit the attack button as you're going up, not down. When you start the game, you can hit left or right to choose the color of your outfit, but that doesn't have any real effect on play. The most common opponent that you'll face are Tau, guys who will just rush at you, then stop and attack. They tend to stop just outside of your regular attack's reach, and they have a little bit longer reach than you. So getting a rhythm down where you keep walking into them and then striking them is very important. You have a health meter, and you'll lose 1 dot from it with every 2 blows. There is one enemy that can kill you instantly, and that's a bull that will rush in. But you can take it out with a perfectly timed kick. Later on in Stage 1, there will be pots that are thrown at you. And while it is possible to punch or kick those out of the air, the timing is very precise and it's a lot easier to just avoid them. On Stage 2, there's this guy called Tubo who hides behind the wall and will throw pots at you. You can beat him, but it requires that he be in the exact right spot when you use a double jump to get on top of the wall. If you need to get back down from the top of the wall, you'll need to do another double jump. Stage 2 starts throwing shuriken at you, and these can't be knocked out of the air. Finally, on Stage 3, you'll encounter bosses. They take a lot of hits to bring down. Boo is a giant, and he mainly attacks with his fists, while Kill, the final boss, prefers flying kicks. If you defeat him, then the game starts over with more aggressive enemies. Like most Super Cassette Vision games, this offers an amateur and pro difficulty setting, and the major difference for the professional setting is that it starts at the second loop. There's one more special enemy that appears, and that's this fellow carrying nunchucks. He'll run up, take a single attack, and then run away. If you manage to hit him, then you get the nunchucks and can just go to town on everybody. This goes away after a few moments though. The most important thing to keep in mind as you play Kung Fu Road is that it is a road. You're not given an opportunity to stand in place and fight. And even on the easiest difficulty level, you're going to be flooded with enemies continuously. The stages end when you travel a certain distance, not when you get to a certain number of points or have defeated a certain number of enemies. So if you're not moving forward, then you're draining your health. On the positive side of things, Kung Fu Road is extremely generous with the checkpoints. You essentially pick up right where you left off, including the health bar for any boss you might have been fighting. And if you complete a stage, then you're restored to full health. Maybe the most notable thing in the game are the sound effects. I don't think that the barks that occur when you throw a punch or kick are digitized, but they still sound pretty close to a noise a human would make. Again, that's a feature they took from Irem's Spartan X. If you don't want to travel down the road of Kung Fu, there is another game mode, a 2-player mode where your goal is to beat up the other player, depleting their life bar in a best-of-3 match. Since this game was released roughly in September 1985, that makes Kung Fu Road the first fighting game on a console, assuming you don't count things like boxing or the Atari 2600 Karate, which represented it as an Olympic event, or a computer game clone of Karate Champ. But if you draw a really narrow definition of fighting game, then Kung Fu Road is the first one on a console. Unfortunately with the fighting mode, you don't get to choose your outfit colors. I found Kung Fu Road to be a pretty good clone of Spartan X, giving you a variety of obstacles, a power-up, and basic enemies that are a little bit more intelligent than the mooks you face in that game, add up to something that's actually kind of good for 1985. Certainly something that you could put next to Spartan X, and kids wouldn't immediately turn away. I have two major problems with the game, and they're both not really something to do with the game itself. First, you never rescue Anne. Even when you defeat Kill, you just get a picture of her, which is the same one you get at the end of any stage, and then you wander off, which means that Chen is doomed to eternally walk down that road of violence, taking lives for the sake of a love that he will never regain. I don't think that was the intended message, but that's what you've got. The other problem is that the Super Cassette Vision controllers are really bad for this game. It's very difficult to do swift movements with them, because when you throw the stick, you're pushing the controller in your hand. It also makes diagonal movements extremely difficult to pull off. Kung Fu Road would play a lot better if the Super Cassette Vision had better controllers. Still, Kung Fu Road is a pretty cool iteration on Spartan X. I don't think you'd want to sit down and play it for hours, but an occasional round or two would be nice. And if you got friends over, you could always beat each other up. That's a game mode that's always popular.